Hey, this is Coach Kinsey Shae here with Bobby Merwin, and
Hello.
we hope you had a wonderful holiday, and that your 2025 is amazing, even though this world has kind of turned on its head for a little bit. But
Mhm.
that's why we really want to talk about, really how to cultivate your worthiness with prayer and meditation, because I think and Bobby thinks, we think that it's just imperative to really kind of ground down into yourself and
Yes.
regulate your mind, your body, your emotions, and really, kind of cultivate that resilience with being within yourself, with your
Mhm.
spirituality. And
Yeah.
this is not religion, my friends. If it is
Nope.
religion, we're not saying
Nope.
that this is
It's
an
not.
open space.
Yep. Open space. And if I would have said this or heard this 5 years ago, I would have thought that it was woo-woo.
Yep.
It's really not. I have been taught, introduced to a lot of different things, and the whole prayer and meditation thing doesn't necessarily have to be a religious thing, just like you said, coming from rooms of like AA and NA
Yeah.
in the time that I've been doing that type of counseling. There was one of the guys that said, "It doesn't matter if your God is a doorknob. Just give it to
Yeah.
something else so
Yeah.
that you can release it or say it out loud or write it down or whatever it is." And taking the time to wind down, a la meditate, gives you a better perspective. So the time that you use, in my opinion, and I want yours on this, that you use that 15 minutes to come down and really like take a good terminator assessment of like what needs to happen, you're much more productive and fulfilled afterwards.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think for meditation and prayer, because prayer is a form of meditation,
Hmm.
it's not just in religion. Um,
Hmm.
for meditation and prayer, it gives you an anchor, um, to kind of tether to ground down into, so that you can allow yourself to be with yourself. And
Yeah,
that really allows you to gain insight to your intuition, which will give you focus throughout your day and
correct.
throughout your
And it
life.
also paves an avenue to see who you really are. So
Correct.
you can take a bit of a moral inventory, as it were,
Yeah.
while you're doing that. So there's a lot of benefits to it. Again, trust me. I used to think all that stuff was woo-woo. I'm not
Hmm.
aligning chakras. I don't have like incense burning. Okay, there's nothing like that. I
I
don't
do
have
that.
12 Bibles over there.
I own that. And I
You
don't
do
think
that.
it's
Okay, you
woo
do that, and that's fine because that's your
woo.
flavor.
Yeah.
That's great. Good for you. I want you to do that. I want you to do what you think is best.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to that person today, the one that thinks that this is woo-woo, because I did,
Yeah.
and then have them actually go, okay, I'm going to stop down and actually try this or do this or research this or practice this and see if it can help them at all because I got a dollar that says it'll help.
Well,
So,
and also for the people that are, this is just a raw conversation. The people that are in their religion and they think that, you know, certain things are just evil, like whether it be oracle cards, whether it be, different forms of meditation, because I've heard it all. I grew up very much Catholic and I was so, oh, that's for the devil, whatever. And things aren't innately evil or good. It's your intention behind it. Like for
absolutely.
me, during my recovery, I used oracle cards not to see the future, not to use them. My intent was to learn myself, to get to
Okay.
know myself, because at the end, I got the oracle cards that had reflection questions at the end.
Okay.
So
So
it
for
would
people
give
that
me
might
a,
not know,
huh?
could you help explain what oracle cards are?
Oracle
Could you?
cards, whether they're like for star seeds or whatever, whether you believe in any of that stuff with the universe or Mother Gaia or whatever, the
Hmm.
essence of it, any text that you use, whether it be the Bible, the Quran, oracle cards, it is to learn a lesson. So you can see things through a different perspective.
All right.
So with the oracle cards, it would give like, there's also ones on goddesses. It gives you like qualities of the goddesses and how to harness those qualities. And a lot of people are like, well, that's worshiping that goddess, and I'm a mono, I only worship God, because
Mhm.
that's in a lot of religions where you just,
Sure.
but the thing is you can look outside of yourself to gain perspective. I was brought up Catholic. I was very much brought up with the one God. I'm more into the oneness of the universe now. I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, but I believe that there were many other deities also,
Yeah.
because we needed to learn lessons in those time and space in those
Sure.
regions. But when you
Hmm.
boil and distill everything down, it
Hmm.
has the same message, which is forgiveness, love, and get to know yourself. And quite often we look outside of ourselves to
Hmm.
validate ourselves. And when we
Yeah.
externally fill that hole of emptiness with external comparison, it grounding down into yourself is really anchoring into yourself so that you can embrace yourself and get to know yourself. So circling back to the oracle cards, I know that was a
Okay.
lot of information all over
No,
the
it was great information. Thank you. Yeah, I liked it. I learned something there. So, hey, I'm cheating. Check
Yeah,
me out.
I know. But like the oracle cards, like it'll give you like a blurb of, a star seed of this, that, or whatever. I can't
Hmm.
think of anything right offhand, but it will give you some background. And then it'll give you some, like a sentence stem, like, how can you cultivate peace in your life? How can you cultivate this? Or what is holding you back in this? So for me, I always look for oracle cards that have reflection questions at the end,
Hmm.
because that's how I get to know myself. Because journaling, there's power, there's the science behind this. When you put your words with a physical pen and paper, like there's just magic there, you know?
There is.
Uh,
That's not a joke. That's why in recovery we make people actually use a pen, not a pencil, not a typewriter, not a word processor, not a computer, pen and paper and put it down on
right.
paper and work through it because there is a churning that you do, which you understand what I'm saying, when you are
Yeah.
doing that, and it's very useful.
And even with allowing yourself to intuitively color, because a lot of people don't allow themselves to like assign different colors. And this will be woo-woo for some people.
Okay.
Just to
Woo woo
allow
alerts. We need a
yourself
flashing thing. Woo woo alerts.
woo-woo.
Woo woo alerts.
Woo-woo.
Okay.
But
Now,
no,
when you say intuitively
we're
color, you're not talking about picking up a coloring book and just deciding that that character's hair should be blue.
no, like
Okay.
you take like 8 colors and you like assign 8 different things, like you assign like happiness, discontent, or whatever. I can't think of all of the, I have it written down so when I do it I can remember,
Okay.
and I assign the color to whatever that word is. And then
Okay.
you allow yourself to get into a relaxed state and you just pick up different things and color. And then you
All
just
right.
look at it afterwards and you look at the colors and how you colored. Was it a more of a circle? Does that mean that it's going to be more of a process, up and down, or is it more rigid, where it
Mm-hmm.
might be signify that you're frustrated, or you're
Okay.
going back and forth. It's just
Okay.
being creative like a child, because that's how you get to know yourself. And a lot of people are like, there's no science behind it and whatever. But if you gain more knowledge within yourself, if
Mm-hmm.
it allows you space where you can reflect upon your emotions and who you are,
Yes.
who cares?
Yes, who cares? And that's you said the R word there, which was reflection.
Yeah.
We do want to take that moment, step back, look at ourselves through a different lens, through a different angle,
Hmm.
and see what we see. Um, I was having a discussion recently about, do we really know ourselves and do we really see ourselves the way that others see us? When we
Hmm.
go into a room, we go into that room with the perception of how we should be in that room. You
Correct.
don't walk into a fancy restaurant and start throwing food, right? So,
Hmm.
how do you actually see yourself? So, when you do this meditation or prayer or both, it gives you a time to take everything away and take a look at yourself. And that's
Correct.
the important thing because that's what we're trying to build is ourselves.
And when you're doing, no matter whether it's prayer, meditation, whatever modality, whether it's tapping, whether it's, anything, breath work, if
Hmm.
your first inclination is what are people going to think, there's some work to do on externally validating yourself. Because your
I
first
agree.
inclination is what other people think. You're
Hmm.
not looking from within. And this
Nope,
isn't
you're not.
judgment. This isn't
Nope.
shade. This is
I'm guilty of it.
reflection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I am totally guilty of it.
This is just reflection. Because the key is awareness.
Hmm.
And awareness is coming into yourself, being able to regulate your emotions, regulate your physical body, your
Hmm.
mental body, your emotional body, and your spiritual body. Um, and for some
Hmm.
people, that might sound woo woo, and that's okay. It's just you haven't
Yeah.
had that perspective or lens. It's new to you. That's your
Hmm.
resistance. Say, hello, I'm here.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes, totally true. I didn't understand that. I'm gonna say this, and I can't believe I'm gonna say it honestly, but my ex was very into yoga, and I
Yep.
was like, yoga? Are you kidding me? No way. I don't do that. And then I started talking to some of my other friends about it, and they go, "Oh yeah, I go to yoga. It's awesome." I'm like, "You do?" So it's like I felt like I was coming out of the closet almost. I'm like, "Okay, I'll do yoga. I'm doing yoga, everybody,"
Yoga
and
is
I did it.
awesome.
I did it a few times, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I
Yeah.
didn't think that I would, but what I'm tagging on to you, I'm trying to dovetail you here, is that there has to be a level of acceptance of something.
Hmm.
Like, for instance, when you look at simple cognitive behavioral therapy premises, they go
Hmm.
with a thoughts, feelings, actions
Correct.
breakdown, right? This is no different. We're just using a couple of different words and a couple of different tactics.
Hmm.
So it's like chocolate, dark chocolate. It's still the
Hmm.
same thing, just tastes a little bit different. So
Yeah.
it's whatever works for you because we want to find things that work for ourselves. You and I have had the blessings, experiences, gifts, educations, whatever you want to call it, to gain all of this stuff from the people around us. Whether we've went to school for it, paid for it, or been bequeathed it, we've got it. And now we're trying to use those in our lives and we're trying to share this with people so that they can make their lives better.
Yeah, and honestly, the medicine to heal yourself is within. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm saying the quality of your life. I'm not saying, magically disappear cancer or whatever. That's not where I'm going with this. But the
Right.
medicine of you is within you.
And nobody would
Meaning,
know that better than you.
yeah.
I want to make that abundantly clear. Because if you don't know the story, go back and see some of the other podcasts that we've done. But let me tell you, this woman has been through more than 96.23% of people.
And
So,
and there's people that have had it way worse than me.
mhm,
And this is the thing, and we are all in our journey.
mhm,
And when we can look through, look through our life and we see other people doing the best that they can without judgment
mhm,
and giving them grace and just filling the room with love. I mean, we all were young once. We all did silly things. And just like we're in our 40s, 50s Gen Xers, the people that are 30, 40 years ahead of us, they're probably just like, oh, they just don't understand. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And there's
Right.
a point of judgment and just having a sign of respect of everybody's in their journey. Not everybody has to be in the same space as you, and
Mhm.
being right always, I'm not going to use always. being right is not the intention of the life
Uh-huh.
journey. The life journey is to grow and to give each other space and to nurture ourselves. Nurturing, even if we don't have our parents, because Gen Xers, some of us might not have our parents.
I
We
don't.
might have traumas from our parents.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, and I've heard people say this to me, well, I can't get the closure that I need. And I'm like, you have you.
Yeah, you have you.
And you can nurture yourself in every trauma.
Yeah. I would consider that a crutch or an excuse.
It is.
You do have you
Hmm.
to get through that. And you're right, a lot of us don't have our parents anymore. I don't.
Hmm.
But I've had to come to closure with things that I've went through in my life, and I'm not going to let them rent space in my head.
Correct.
I don't
Because,
have enough brain material to do that.
yeah. I mean, my friends, like, let's just look at a storage container, right? If you want to put something different in a space, you have to release some things to create the space.
Hmm.
So you can't just shove it all in it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to let go and you have to
Yeah.
release that pain. Um,
Hmm.
does that mean that it wasn't traumatic? Does that mean that it wasn't a cross to bear for you? It
Hmm.
was. But what was the lesson? What did you learn from it? Because that is more important. Because
Hmm.
anything that happens in my life, circumstances now, I go, okay, what's the lesson, universe? What's the lesson? Because
Hmm.
this really sucks. And I know it sucks. And I know there has to
Hmm.
be a lesson.
And I
And
like what
that,
you're saying there.
yeah.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there, and we should underline that because when you're saying virtually out loud, and you might even do it, because I know that I do. I
Mhm.
probably sound, not quite right, but I'm like, all right, what is the lesson to learn here?
Yep.
I actually just stop down and go, what am I supposed to learn from this? Because it could be a situation that makes me very angry.
Mhm.
I'm angry at the situation, but I'm like, what's that anger going to do for me? Nothing. Okay, so what can I take from this and make it better than it was 1 minute ago?
Right. And anger
Hmm.
isn't something bad. Anger is an
No.
invitation to grow. It is. And because anger gives you the trigger or the
Hmm.
activation, so you know to look deeper.
Irritation is
It's
the
a
road to
traffic
innovation.
signal.
Yeah.
Huh? It's a
Didn't
big
don't you say
neon sign.
don't you say something like irritation is the road to innovation or something?
No, irritation is an invitation to grow.
Oh, I never get that right.
I know. Just like anger is because anger, it's uncontrollable sometimes. You get that flash rage. And there's a reason why, like, if you're reacting disproportionately to what somebody did
Hmm.
than other people, then there's usually something underneath it. Um, like, I think we've talked about this before when I was going through my certification with the transformational Lisa Nichols
Hmm.
certification. My buddy, she was an older lady and she triggered me. I didn't like her. I love her now. You know, we're best of that friends. But
Hmm.
she triggered a mama trauma, you know, a mother wound in me from my mom,
Okay.
you know. But I'm just like, why am I getting so activated? Because she's not causing everybody else this much grief. So what is it? Why? And I went down the 7 layers of why. But the key is don't get it usually takes about seven. I mean, allow yourself at least seven questions of why. But the
Okay.
trick is not to end with a why because that's just a rabbit hole that you're just going to go down
Uh-huh.
forever.
Right.
The rabbit hole stops when you say, how? How can I transmute this? How can I cultivate a better relationship? How can I forgive? Because there was something I needed to forgive my mother for.
Hmm.
And it brought it to a head. She did that. God,
Mhm.
universe, whatever, used her as a conduit for me to understand that I needed to invite forgiveness. Because, I mean, I think gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion is the trinity of humanity. I mean, I really do.
Okay. Say that again. I want people to hear that.
Gratitude, and then
Yeah.
compassion and forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes the first step, I
Okay.
know it was for me, is gratitude. Um, of being grateful just for just waking up. After my car accident, just me waking up, I was grateful for.
Yeah.
And then I started, watching things like I started watching Call the Midwives, and it's all about being compassionate. It's about,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know, it's about like 40s through like the 70s, where midwives worked in the poor section of UK in London. And it showed them all the hardships that people went through. It built
Mm-hmm.
compassion in me because I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm bedridden, I'm in a wheelchair, but I didn't lose my life. I don't live in this squander. I don't, you know what I mean? It's compassion for the people, and you have compassion for your situation. And thirdly, it gets you to the point where you can forgive yourself and others, because forgiveness is just bondage. It's you enslave yourself to a
Yeah, lack of forgiveness is a bondage. I will
yeah,
agree
yeah.
with
Hmm.
that because I've talked about this previous on different podcasts, but mine's a little bit different from you. I've simplified it. Mine is acceptance and forgiveness. But I
Hmm.
like mixing in the gratitude there. I think that should be before acceptance. I like that a lot. So
Hmm.
maybe I'll start incorporating that into the things that I say.
Well,
But
gratitude and compassion, I'm always looking for things to raise my vibration, raise my frequency. And this
mhm,
might be woo woo for people, but just keep an open mind. Um, because there is science with gratitude, with compassion, with joy, with peace. There are frequencies that they can measure in the body. And when you're feeling anger and whatever, all of the low or frequency type of vibrations, um, and frequencies, there is science behind that. It's just you might not have heard it
mhm,
before. And I'm not, I mean, everybody's in their growth journey. So,
mhm.
if you're in the space of you're just going to judge without really being open, that's okay. I mean, that's your journey. But to grow is to be open. To be open is not to judge. Not to judge is to just to gain knowledge and awareness, because awareness is the essence to find you.
Wow. And that comes from people, that comes from doing a lot of work right there.
Yeah.
That little diatribe that you just heard wasn't something that was, written down. That
No.
wasn't something that she read off of a screen. That came from in here
Hmm.
because of how much work has been done
Hmm.
and the ability that I have found in you to find peace in your situations. Because we obviously talk off camera.
Yeah.
We talk about life stuff and,
Yeah.
sometimes language might get a little colorful and sometimes volumes might get a little bit high, because we're human beings, that's
Yeah.
what we do, but we
Grace, my
work
friend.
through it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Say this, say this. Okay. Now let's try some grace. Okay. Now let's try some acceptance. A sip of this, a bite of this. Okay. But the reason that Kinsey was able to, just do that so well was because it's a practice that she has.
Hmm.
And it's something that I have learned to start doing. And the more I do it, the more it seems to pay off. The more I give myself grace, the
Hmm.
more it seems to pay off. Just start with that. Just
Right.
start with giving yourself a little bit of grace and just see what it's like. I think of grace as like during Christmas, there's always candies and
Yeah.
cookies and everything, right? You know that candy that's called divinity?
Yep.
Okay. It's really, really, really sweet and super rich.
Yeah.
If you can have more than two pieces of that, you're amazing because it's so overwhelming. It's hard to eat more than two pieces of it.
Right.
That's what grace is like. Just have that bite of that divinity, that
Yeah.
grace, and go, okay, I'm gonna take that in and I'm gonna learn from it and work through it and then add something in later. Doesn't have to
Right.
be tomorrow, could be the next day. But just keep trying to move a little bit forward
Yeah.
because you did not get there, Kinsey, in a day.
Oh
It
God.
took you time, and you did not have these skills before your accident.
No, I did
Now,
not. And I
so
mean, I'm going to tell you, after my accident, I went through the dark horse. I can, if
take
I can
two. Ready? And action.
I know. Dark horse of the soul, where you really your identity, because my identity was me being a nurse, me being a people pleasing. I do everything for everybody.
Hmm.
I validate myself by everybody else, not myself. And after my accident, I was like, I'm broken. How can I be any use of anybody? Nobody is going to want me. I mean, because I was in a wheelchair, I almost lost my arm. I had scars everywhere. I didn't have my job. So my identity was very much
Oh, yeah.
tied to who I was. So
Hmm.
after my accident, I cursed at God. I cursed and I was angry, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means that energy needs to release. That anger needs to get out.
Yes.
Getting into that circle that of just feeling guilty for having emotions, stop it.
Hmm.
Allow yourself to
Yeah.
constructively release it and give yourself grace and move forward, not in the same manner, but learn from it and
Hmm.
shift, put a little pinky toe forward of doing something different, because doing the same thing is not going to get you to where you want to go. It's going to keep you in the same spot.
Sure.
So
It's an exercise in futility. Yeah.
I could have easily cursed at God, and I could still be cursing at God. And I can guarantee you, in all hearts and hearts, I don't think I would be here if I
Hmm.
kept that same mindset.
Yes, that same negativity. Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow. We haven't done a show in like 3 weeks.
Correct.
And it's like, I feel like we just saved up all of the goodness for today because I feel like this is the best one that we've done.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we got to be coming up on like time here pretty soon, but
Yeah. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gained something from today. I'll tell you what, that feels pretty darn good.
I know.
I hope we can give that to somebody else that's watching because that's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, your
Wow.
energy into yourself is what is key. And
Yeah.
what I'm saying, energy is your awareness to intuitively feel into where your body needs to go, your mind needs to go, your spirituality needs to go. We're inviting you to be curious like a child. Like, remember the first time you went into a toy store or a
Yes.
candy store, and there's just so many different things that you could do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
I
you're
just
like,
thought
oh,
of
I'm
it.
going to do this. I'm going to do this. You didn't think about, oh, you know, I shouldn't do this because, or I'm a miserable person because I want this. You're just like, oh my God, that pure, just bliss. I'm
Unadulterated
inviting
because
you.
adults, squash that. It's unadulterated.
Yeah. Just
Excuse me.
really embrace it like a kid in a
Hmm.
candy store. Like, even with these modalities, if your intention is to learn you, you, to grow
Hmm.
your capacity, then you can't go wrong. You might have a misstep, fall forward, get up, move a pinky, move a toe, just keep moving. And sometimes it's okay if you need to be still, but set intention when you're going to get up, because that builds resilience. Because it's easy where An hour turns into a day turns into a week turns into a month, and a month turns into year, and year turns into a decade, okay?
That's some solid math, people. You take that with you. Solid, solid math right there. She was exactly right on all of it. But no, I mean, I'm taking the piss out of that. But no, you're right. Do put that pinky toe forward. Do not be afraid to fail. Fail forward.
Yep. And don't
Okay.
and
I
don't
do it
give
every
a
day. I fail forward every
yeah.
day, and I trip or skin my knee or whatever. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm working on repairing my motorcycle right now, and I'm
Hmm.
gonna watching a lot of videos on how to do this. And no, I am not a mechanic. I am not. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fail forward.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep trying. And what it does is it does something different to my brain. I don't have to, do dishes. I'm not doing counseling. It's something that like tinkers with a different part of my brain, and I love it.
It
So
does.
that's
It's
the
kind
time
of
when I get to have that, Zen moments, when I get to have that meditation, when I can talk to myself and nobody's around, where I can, say prayers or hope for people or whatever. And it gets me in a different mindset a la your toy store.
yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you need to have a conversation, if you need to scream at the pillow, if you need to, somatically release it into the pillow,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, a lot of science, like I think in psychology, they don't recommend that. Like if you're angry at somebody, beat up a pillow or whatever. Um, I think for me, I did that after my car accident and it worked for me. But the intention isn't to beat up the pillow. The intention is to release the energy of the pain so that you can move forward. That's where the
That's correct.
intention is.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Because once you do, because I know what you're talking about, because I've, beat up the pillow, as it were.
Yeah.
Um, and it's amazing the energy that you release. And once you release that energy, you can see things differently.
Right.
It's kind, I mean, nobody sees well when they see red.
Right.
So
I mean,
anyway, we're
and
we're, we're pulling this out.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
just somatically like releasing it. Like get up and dance. If you want to listen to music and just dance your heart out, do it. If you want to
Hmm.
sing and belt out like Adele, even though you don't sound like Adele, do it. You know?
Sure. I actually do sound like Adele. You just don't know that. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's
It's
that's
just my
one of my actual
perception.
hidden talents. Yes. I actually cover for her when she's not feeling well, so it's a hidden talent that I have.
So I guess the thing is we just want to press upon you that you are enough. You are
Yeah.
worthy.
Hmm.
Your essence, your truth is inside of you, waiting to get uncovered. And that just takes being curious and gaining more awareness and keep
Hmm.
moving forward and allowing yourself to transmute your relationships, transmute your boundaries, transmute your essence, of who you are, um, on in this physical world.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow. I don't know of a better stopping point than that. I'm
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
glad that we got together today to do this. You have
Yes,
no
me
idea.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been too
Good.
long. It's been too
It
long.
has.
We
Well,
needed
we'll
to
get on a regular
reset.
schedule now. We're gonna get
Yeah,
on a
we'll be
regular
on a
schedule.
regular. Yeah, we wanted to set intention just to kind of reset, and we have. So
Hmm.
now we're gonna get back on track. So we will see you on Thursdays, at 8 o'clock, Eastern time and 5 Pacific. And we look forward to seeing you
Hmm.
each and every week. And like, subscribe, do on that all that fun jazz. If you found value in our content, feel free to share. Um, because we just want to gain awareness
Yeah.
you know, in the Gen X struggle, in the self-discovery um, journey, and just holding yourself up and loving yourself and forgiving yourself. And believe me, forgiving yourself can be the hardest thing.
Truly. And I'm glad that you ended on that because
Yeah,
that should be noted very clearly that
yeah,
it is not as easy as what is being said. Forgiving yourself is difficult, but fail forward. Keep
Yep.
trying. There's something great on the other side of this. And
Yep.
Kinsey and I know this, and that's why we're saying it to you.
Yep.
Okay?
So we love you guys, and we will see you next week.
Sounds great.
Like,
Okay.
love, subscribe, do all that fun jazz.
All that fun jazz.
Fun jazz. All right. See you guys.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.